Hello. So, I needed to explain a little bit about what is sometimes perceived as the strangeness of the Azandi article and why it's there. I also want to connect the discussion of magic in the Azande article, with the discussion of magic in the Cats article. And I want to do all of those things and talk about your discussion messages at the same time. And this is just kind of a beginning on that. I don't expect to finish it right now. All right. So for the Azandi, uh, magic is a way of understanding how things happen, why they happen, whatever's going on. Magic in uh, one form or another is involved. Um, it's, in a sense, unseen. Um, it permeates everything, but you don't really see it. Although they see the evidence of it everywhere. It's obvious for them, it's apparent, and it's unquestionable. The magic that Katz talks about in the first chapter is a little bit different. He's talking about the magic of motivation. And he's talking about the magic whereby a person is at one point not committing a crime and then somehow feels compelled to commit a crime. So, whatever the background influences are, whatever your home training, your education, your occupation, your income, whatever it is, most of the time you're not committing a crime. And then all of a sudden, all at once, you are committing a crime. You feel compelled to commit a crime. I know for me, it's speeding. When I'm on the 280 and there's an opening and I can take it, I feel speed. Like it's necessary, it's needed, it's right there. I can handle it, everything is good. Going slow in that situation is not compelling. However, I've gotten a couple of speeding tickets lately, and I'm feeling a little bit less compelled. So he's talking about how the action is yours, you act, it's you doing it, but something in the scene there brings you to it. Okay, so those two types of magic and how to sort of uh, bring them together. Um, Looking at the discussion of the first article I gave you on C.J. Jones, um, I should say at the beginning, the class followed directions a little bit better um, than I've become accustomed to. You actually, um, some of you have been watching too many Law and Order episodes because you definitely wanted to figure out what had gone on in the crime, and you sort of took it as I'm looking at this for what actually happened, which ended up being great for material for me and a fantastic way of doing it. But you also sort of stuck to what was actually written there, thought it through more so than I think most people would in listening to a story. And I think a lot of your arguments were quite good because of that. Um, but you were not there. You did not know what happened. You don't know what happened now, and neither do I. What you were directly confronted with was a story, and many of you found the story and the writing of the story inadequate, as you should. It was just absolutely horrific. It's common, I suppose, in newspaper writing, but it was just terrible in the way um, that it worked out. Um, so I want to talk about the use of magic in the discussion group by you. That's what I'm after. What happens with the Azandi sometimes is that people sometimes think, wow, look at this sort of backward tribe and how they believe in something as crazy as uh, magic. And what I'm after, of course, I mean, the only reason really to bring it to you is to say, we all believe in magic. Um, the Azandi are simply human. And I say that to say that I don't know that there's anything bad in believing about magic. What I am saying is this: I study people, and I'm interested in their employment of magic, of how they come to understand a world that they can't possibly comprehend, that they could not possibly directly experience, but that they know nonetheless. Um, so I don't know what happened with C.J. Jones and his family. My job is not to figure it out. I'm a sociologist. I watch how people who couldn't possibly know what happened come to believe absolutely that they knew. And the reason for the Azandi thing is that it's easier to see it with someone else's belief system, with the way that other people interpret, with their perceptual scheme and their culture, than it is to see your own. And so C.J. Jones. Now, I want to start off with just a couple of the early responses to this. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate um, those of you who are able to respond quickly. And I know some of you weren't even enrolled in the course yet when this came up, so no worries. Now, I like Jared's use of mental health as a kind of magic here. And by the way, a large number of you read either, I don't know if I say Knox or Gox. Please tell me how to pronounce your name. It would be so helpful. But Knox and Jared's seem to get a lot of play later on. So Jared with the mental health thing says, he sort of had some issues with how this kid, child, I think actually, was considered the man of the house by a family friend, especially when he clearly had mental health issues. So the mental health issues become a way to understand C.J. Jones. Many of you remarked that there was scant evidence for believing that he had mental health issues. So what was the evidence? Setting fires was one piece of evidence that I recall. I think in a different article, and I don't know if I gave you guys this one or not, somebody had said that he clearly had rage. The thing about mental health issues is that they're somewhat notorious things, or I shouldn't say notorious, I should say insidious things. They tend to be there at the very end. You find out that there was a mental health issue all along, only after the person snaps. What is the empirical evidence of a mental health issue, of some insanity, some craziness? How do you know that a person is mentally ill? By the way, with this class takes place in the context of a shooting of a representative and others in Arizona, and the suspect there we're going to come to find out that he had mental health issues. Only we're also going to find out that there was no official diagnosis of a mental health issue. But right now, at this point, I think everybody believes he had mental health issues. How do you have that as an empirical fact? What do you take as evidence of mental health issues? Is it the fact that he was shooting indiscriminately in a crowd? Does that do it? How do you know before then that there are mental health issues? What I'm asking is, as an empirical, scientific, rational person who doesn't believe in magic, how do you know what's going on inside somebody's head such that you can say that there is an illness inside somebody's head? How do you do that? That's my question. My answer is that it's a magic that we believe in. Mental health issues turn out to cover anything you need it to cover. You can find out that somebody has depression or attention deficit disorder or any number of other things. At one point, homosexuality was considered, excuse me, a mental illness, I think in the DMV prior to like 1967 or something like that. I know for a fact interracial couples were considered to have mental illnesses just evidenced by the fact that they were in interracial relationships. And so these are, for me, sort of invisible things that we use to explain the inexplicable. Why would somebody at 14 years old kill their family? Well, families are upsetting things. They make you angry. It's not that uncommon, I mean, whatever the sanity of it is, that you would be, at some point or other, pissed at your family. I mean, it seems completely reasonable, especially at 14. Time after time, C.J. Jones gets referred to the students in this class, referred to by the students in this class as a child. At 14, would you have dug that? Would you have liked somebody referring to you as a child? What is the tension between being an adult and a child? You know, when you're in that netherland, how frustrating do you think that could be? Why would it require mental illness? I always had the same feeling about the guys at Columbine. I mean, I'm not saying that it's okay to go into your school and shoot indiscriminately, but at your high school, was there somebody that you wouldn't have mind not seeing ever again? If I asked you to construct a list of 5 people, how long would it take you? Did some of you maybe have a list? Well, let's not discuss that right now. All right. So I'll come back to this magic